Okay, so the big question is, um, did I do my 2020 run, the 20 on New Year's Day today? I had talked about it in my previous video, and yes, I did it. It was the run was a 20.2 mile run, and I guess kind of the thing going into it was I wasn't too sure of how it would turn out, simply because I went out the night before last night. Enjoyed myself. Hung out with some friends and had a few drinks and got home really late, like way past my bedtime. And so, I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out. And I wasn't really that hungover this morning. I was just tired and I felt groggy and um, somewhat unmotivated. So anyway, I did do it. Didn't start until like 2:15, and I finished at around 7:15, which I kind of had an idea it was going to take me a little while. Um, I came up with my own trail name, or just my own. I think I'm going to update my YouTube account to be Snail Runner, because I joke about I'm about as fast as a snail, somewhere between a snail and a turtle. Sometimes I may be as fast as a rabbit who's just got his two rear legs bit by injured by a coyote. So anyway, that's just kind of a joke. So I did do it. Took me a little longer than anticipated. Didn't really have any issues that I was kind of expecting to have. Just the normal stuff about somewhere between mile 16 and mile 18. I usually start feeling it. My muscles, and I start aching a little bit. 20 miles really isn't enough to go into what's called the pain cave. When you get into the longer distances, you do, and it's you just don't think you're going to make it, and you just push yourself through it. And so it went well, and I'm glad I did it, and it set a great foundation for 2020. I'm excited about the things to come. And so some of the highlights on that run, and I did some on my stories on Instagram. If you want to go check them out, along the way I kind of update and do some, I guess, motivational type thoughts whenever I'm on the run. Things I think about and things I think might help others, and just some random thoughts, and sometimes things I see on the trail I'll talk about. For instance, came across this kid with his dad, and this kid had to have been, I don't know, maybe 3, 4, 5 years old at the most. He was decked out in trail gear. Um, he had his hiker poles, whatever. I can't, like the ski poles, but for hiking. Uh, then what they're called has escaped my mind. I'm a little tired. Which I thought was cool. I mean, he's got this kid out here on the trail, and just experiencing the outdoors. Kid could be at home playing on his iPad or his mom or dad's iPad or watching TV. And instead, he spent New Year's Day with his dad out on the trail. And both of them were decked out. They looked like they belonged there, which is cool. His dad bought him some neat little outfit, and he just looked like he belonged there. And his dad obviously was into it, and so that was cool. And it just kind of got him started early. He, the outdoors. I'm just a big believer in being outdoors, and you wouldn't have thought so about a year and a half ago, because I was about 45 pounds heavier than I am now, and but that's a whole nother topic. Then I was running along. And when you run on the mountain bike trails, you run opposite than the mountain bikes, so you're going basically when you can see them coming for the most part, unless there's a blind curve. But I was in this open field, and I saw this guy. What looked like he was on a 10-speed, like a 10-speed bike, that you see on the streets. And he had like a scarf on. He didn't have a helmet on, and I was like, "What's this guy doing?" And this is a mountain bike trail where it's rough, and he had these little 10-speed tires, and initially you kind of want to judge that person and go, "What are you doing out here, you dork, but that's commitment. I mean, he decided to get out there and do it. Probably all he had was that bike, and he knew, had to have known going into it that people were going to say stuff or whatever or think stuff, or maybe he just didn't care, which is great. I'm getting to that point now where certain things used to bother me, or I used to think, whoa, what's people going to think of me, about uploading these videos, there are people that say, why are you doing this? I mean, you want to talk about yourself or whatever? Anyway, so I just thought that was cool, and it inspired me, and it's like reminding me that, it's about commitment and doing whatever you have to do to get out there. And, if you like to run and you just got these regular old tennis shoes that you think, oh, well, these aren't good enough for the trail. Any shoe is good enough for the trail. Heck, put on your dress shoes and go. Just don't run in high heels because you hurt yourself. But anyway, so that was inspiring, and I thought that was cool. And then the other thing is, I've run this trail, for over the past year, I don't know how many times. And there was a section I was running by, and I heard some noise in the brush, like birds or something that was in the leaves. And it was still light out. It was probably about 4:45, 5 o'clock. And I just happened to look over, and I was like, I saw something that looked like flowers. And I thought, what is going on there? So I looked through the trees, and there's a cemetery. I never once, and during the summer, it's hard to see that, would have been impossible to see it with all the leaves and the bushes grown out and the leaves and all that stuff. But I just happened to look over, and I thought, there's a cemetery in the middle of Irwin Park. Excuse me. So I was interested, and I was kind of looking through, and it looked very old. I mean, like some of the headstones have been weathered. Like you could tell that it had been there for decades or maybe even centuries. So I went a little bit further, and I found there was a little entrance where the fence was kind of cut. So I kind of walked in there and walked around, and I started reading the headstones. I was like, man, this is really cool. I mean, this is a lot of history in this cemetery. Obviously, that they've passed on, and we don't know the stories. So as I'm walking around, I'm starting to look, gravestone after gravestone after gravestone, horn. I'm like, wow, all these people's name are horn. Well, it turns out, so I went to where the main entrance is of the cemetery, and I said, and even before I even saw the sign, I'm thinking, this must be like a horn cemetery for the horn ancestry. Somebody had this plot and is like going to bury his family and ancestors and anybody that's down the ancestry line. So lo and behold, I look over, and that sign on the top, it said Horn 1867. I guess that was when it was at first. I'm guessing when that cemetery was created by the Horn family. And but it was really neat. There's more on my Instagram story. There's more information about that. Me walking around talking about the different ones. And I did Google it, and there's an article about the Horn Cemetery. Just a short one. Didn't dig real deep, but kind of talked about where it came from and how long it's been there. And there's probably a lot of history behind it, which I like stuff like that, so I'm gonna look more into that. And then, what does this mean, this whole 2020 run on New Year's Day mean to me? What this means is I've set a good foundation. I set a goal day one, and I went after it, and I accomplished it. And when you set a foundation, which that is the beginning of the year, I've set a foundation. I accomplished a goal that I went out to do, and I was going to do it no matter what. And it feels good, and it's going to springboard me into my future, the things I have planned later on this year, based around my running. I'm planning on a 100-mile ultra marathon around the March-April timeframe. I kind of pushed it out a little bit. I'd intended maybe February, March. December was a slower month, not necessarily as much running, as many miles, but they were quality. I mean, I had some really good, I had my fastest mile, I had my fastest 5K, and I had my fastest 10K. These were just training runs, not necessarily sanctioned runs or whatever. My Garmin kind of lets me know whenever I've exceeded a goal or whatever, or had a faster 1 mile or whatever. So anyway, so that's going to be in March or April. That's my plan. And maybe the weather will be a little more cooperative then rather than in February when you can, some places you can go, you get snow or whatever. And then I was inspired this morning when I got home from the party or whatever. One of the drinks I was drinking was a Red Bull and vodka, and Red Bull keeps you awake. So I got home at 3 o'clock in the morning and sat on the couch, turned on YouTube, which I've kind of become a YouTube junkie, and I watch a lot of outdoor ultra running stuff and trail, a lot of trail hiking, backpacking stuff. And anyway, this guy that I follow, is called the Ginger Runner, which he's a redhead like me, but that had nothing to do with my interest in him. He's very creative and very cool. And one thing he did at the end of 2019 in December, set a last minute goal of running a 100-mile week. And he doesn't run a whole lot. I mean, he's not a professional ultra marathoner. He thought that would be an awesome goal to accomplish, which he did. So he towards the end of December, I believe, he accomplished it, and it was kind of cool how he laid it out. And which that's something I want to do later in the year. Just give that a shot and see. It's not a matter of being able to do it. It's a matter of the time and organizing it around stuff with my kids and not being gone so much. Maybe it means me getting up earlier in the morning or running late in the evening. And so that's a plan. And then also I want to do a 30-day exercise program where I exercise every day. And more than likely I'm going to run every day regardless, even if it's just 1 mile. Even if it's on a recovery day, run an easy mile or walk an easy mile, and just see what that does to me. How hard it is to accomplish it. 30 days of continuous exercise has got to, it's got to be hard. I mean, so it's something that I plan on doing, especially whenever I have some weekends I'll have a back-to-back long run, and then the next day is usually an easy day or a recovery day. And so it'll be interesting. So that's another one of my goals. But I'm excited. I'm glad I got it done. I ran out of water towards the end, and I kind of knew I was risking it because I could have gone to my car after the first loop and refilled. But I looked at my water bladder, my Nathan pack or whatever, and I looked at the water. I'm like, oh, I got plenty of water. And so with 2 miles left, that thing was dry. So good thing is it was only like 25 minutes left, 25 minutes, I think. And so it wasn't like I was in 110 degrees. So it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was a lesson learned. And so anyway, it was a good day, and I am tired and ready to go to bed, and then back to work tomorrow for 2 days. And then I'm excited. So in the future, I'm going to work on editing these videos and inserting some fun stuff. And I've got some ideas from a couple of guys I follow on YouTube. The Mako Show, which he's a professional ultra marathoner. He's funny. He inserts movie clips. When he'll say something, he'll insert a movie clip a funny movie clip that'll piggyback on it and just makes it more creative. But right now, I've accomplished something that I'm excited about. I'm uploading videos, which I've been wanting to do this for so long, and just, I guess, fear of what people think or how I sound or how I look, and I'm okay with that. And so this video is kind of long. I'll try to keep them shorter, but and I take notes so that way I write down some notes. So I try to stay on course and not just ramble on, which I've been doing, but that's okay. Bear with me, and I'll get better at it. So I am done, and I hope everybody had a happy new year and a safe one. And I look forward to seeing you guys around and online. And please comment below. I guess below, wherever it might be. comment, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And if you want to get updates whenever I update, there's a little bell, click on the bell. And when I upload a video, you'll get it, because I know everybody's so excited to hear Tom talk about his life. But my goal is to be able to provide maybe some inspiration, and something that'll inspire somebody, something I said, something I saw, whatever it might be. It's not all just about me. Part of it is, but if you don't promote yourself, who else will, right? So anyway, that's what I've always been told. It's like, hey, if you're going to sit around and wait for somebody to promote you and get you out there, you might be waiting for a while. But all right, well, I'm out, and thanks for your patience, and thanks for those that made it through it. I know typically people don't watch the whole video, but hopefully I kept your attention maybe. But again, I'm out of here. Good night, and I'll plan on uploading a video maybe tomorrow or the next day. So have a good night. Thank you.